I know for a fact I'll submit him. I get his back. He's going to sleep.
What's up, everyone? Shakiel Mahjouri here for CBS Sports, and you know who this is. He is the UFC's number 12th ranked lightweight contender, fighting Michael Chandler in the co-main event of UFC 314 on Saturday. But judging by the metrics, he might as well be the top billing Paddy Pimblett. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. Hope you're well.
Good, I am well. It's nice to catch up again so soon after the last one. I did interview Volk ahead of this week, and I did ask him because the fans were wondering, when are we going to get the Cooking with Volk Paddy crossover? He wants to get it done right after UFC 314. I asked him if he was worried that he'd be blowing his entire year's budget by having you as a guest. He thinks he can go toe for toe with you. Who do you think's going to win in an eating contest, you or Volk? Because the man used to be like a heavyweight rugby player.
I think I'd eat more than Volk, to be honest.
You know, he used to be like a rugby player, well over 200 pounds. So
yeah, he was like 210 pounds or something, wasn't he? But he only walks around about easy now.
What do you want him to cook for you? He said it's your choice.
I don't know. I'd have to ask him what some of his specialities are. I'd like to get a good dish off him, what he's good at cooking.
Okay, I like it. Well, you'll get the chance very soon, I'm sure. I did talk to Michael Chandler ahead of your fight, and he was very enthusiastic about this fight, the way your profile has grown. But when asked about the matchup, he said, "I'm no Bobby Green on the ground." He referenced how Charles Oliveira wasn't able to submit him. I just like your response, because I guess his point is, what could Paddy do to me on the ground that Dubronx couldn't?
I'll submit him. Topuria can submit him, lad, and his jiu-jitsu is nowhere near the level of man. You know, styles make fights. It's one of them. Charles weren't really hunting the submission so much against him. I don't think he was more using it to control. Where I know for a fact I'll submit him. I get his back. He's going to sleep.
Can you give me just like your quick assessment of what the fight looks like? Where is he the most dangerous? Where are you the most dangerous? Although I think you just teased it up.
He's the most dangerous coming forward, swinging his Hail Mary punches. You know, he can knock anyone out. Anyone can knock anyone out with a lucky punch. So I've just got to be aware of that. Got to be there ready for him to wade in. To be honest, I know I can submit him, but I also think I can knock him out. Especially when he comes wading forward like he does. Catch him on the end of a punch, a knee, a kick, an elbow, and I can see me flatlining him. But I'm ready for anything. Ready to win by submission, win by knockout, or go 5 rounds.
You know, at the top, during the intro, I sort of lauded you as the biggest star on this show, and I already know there's some people in the YouTube comments complaining about it. But if you look at the search interest over the last few days, just in the US, you're doubling every other fighter on the main or co-main. Doubling Volk, doubling Chandler, doubling Diego. I'm glad I got to share this news with you.
Yeah, I just know that, lad. That's a belter.
Yeah, how does that feel?
A party, lad.
How does that feel?
Great. Know what I mean? It just confirms things for me. I always say when I land on the start of the show, and it just proves me point, doesn't it?
Do you feel that in some ways you're the star the UFC needs right now? We have a few guys who are driving interest, but especially relative to like the 2016 boom, it feels like there's been a real lack of big personalities who can compete at the elite level.
Yeah, there probably is now compared to back then. But, you know, it's just the best in the world fighting this sport, and it's not all about personality. It's about being the best, and that's what I'm out here to prove to do.
I was looking at an interview you did recently, I think it might have been with the Nelk Boys, that drew some headlines about the pay cut that you took when first starting with the UFC relative to what you're making in Cage Warriors. Obviously, as we can see, that gamble, so to speak, paid off. At the time, what are some of the conversations you're having with yourself about the potential upside of joining the UFC versus, you know, the steady, good paycheck that you're making with Cage Warriors?
Obviously, the upside of joining the UFC is obviously going to be the global recognition and other sponsors and stuff what come with it. But I was only young. I knew I had years and years to join the UFC. You know, I turned them down twice. And that was because I was getting brilliant wage off Cage Warriors, and that helped me set me up for me life. Know what I mean? Bought my first house with that money, paid my mum's mortgage off with that money, done a lot of things with that money.
That's so refreshing to hear because, like, so often you hear the story of MMA fighters. It's like you grind and you hustle and you sacrifice in the hopes of making it big. And here you are outside of the UFC being able to, like, create that safety net so that you can give it this all without having it to be, do or die in that sense,
Yeah, you don't want to join the UFC and everything be about money. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I've got to win this fight, otherwise I don't get half my paycheck and stuff like that. I never needed that. You know what I mean? I come to the UFC just to be the best in the world. It's not. So I know we're prize fighters, and obviously you've got to put food on the table, but it's not just about that for me.
The Spanish UFC broadcast seemed to suggest that Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira is a done deal. We don't know if that's for sure true, but if it is, could I get your reaction to that being Ilia's first lightweight fight and your prediction?
Yeah, I read that it was wrong, but you never know. That could be happening. Yeah, it's a tough fight for Ilia. You know what I mean? As I've said, he's a good fighter, even though I don't get on with him. But I can see it being a tight fight. See Charles submitting him, but I could also see Topuria knocking him out.
I was so grateful for the post-fight speech you did, I think 2023, about the sort of stigma around men seeking help for mental health. And I've actually been really excited to see the upswing in fighters just seeking out like sports psychiatrists. Would you be willing to share what therapy did for you privately and also how it translated to helping you be the best you can be as a fighter?
Well, I was in it in like 2020, no earlier, in like 2017, 18. I was in a dark place, you know what I mean? And I went and went to seek help, and it was a place called James's Place in the UK. And they helped me a lot, you know what I mean? They helped me get back to a place mentally where I needed to be. And it probably did transfer over into me fighting as well, to be honest, because I've always been very confident. I've always known how good I am, but that probably gave me a little bit more mental fortitude than I've ever had.
What do you think, if at all, holds other fighters back from seeking mental health help? Because I see the tides kind of shifting, but sometimes when I talk to athletes, I still kind of sense that what I'd call almost like misplaced bravado.
Yeah, it's the tough guy image, you know what I mean? No one wants to be like, oh, I've had to go and seek help. That's what it is, especially where we're fighters. It's like, oh, that'll be seen as a sign of weakness if I do this, when it isn't. But that's just the world we live in.
How much more Football Manager have you managed to clock since our last interview, which I think was like a month ago?
Not much, to be honest, lad. When I'm at home with the kids, I don't really get a chance to play it at all. I played it for a few hours on the way here on the plane, but then since I've got here, we've just been busy doing all sorts of different stuff, so I haven't even had a chance to.
Fair enough. Hopefully on the way out, I don't know, you can set up a league opposite Volk, see who does better while you guys are having it. On the way out, I think for a lot of people, this is sort of the moment that they were waiting for with Paddy Pimblett, a fight on par with sort of the excitement around him. Whether or not they believed you'd get here, I think this is where we at least sort of hoped this journey was going. How does it feel for you to finally be here, UFC co-main event, metrically biggest star on the card, about to probably enter the title picture with a win?
I always saw this coming. This was always in my future. You know what I mean? Never doubted myself for 1 second. Even when I had that very close fight with Jared Gordon and I had a career-threatening injury, I've never swayed from my self-belief, and I'm coming to win the world title. It's that simple.
Paddy, I want to let you have the last word. So very quickly, guys, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe, tap the bell, thumbs up. Give us your official prediction. Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett, co-main event of UFC 314 on Saturday. Paddy the Baddy, the floor is yours, my man.
Well, I've said it several times. I think I get the finish within the first 10 minutes. I think I finish him in 2. But as I say, if it needs to go past that, it will. But I just don't see any way he beats me. I can see me beating him on the ground, on the feet. Or if we have to get the judges involved, I'll beat him on all 3 of their scorecards.